it was obvious that the president, Mr. Obama, is not going to attack. And the reason is also, in my opinion, quite simple. USA is in deep trauma after what happened in Iraq and Afghanistan. They are scared. This is one of the first things that the president announced, one of the reasons that he was running on his platform, that he is going to withdraw the troops. And he's doing it. In Iraq, you don't have too many troops. And you can see now they're killing each other every day, 50, 40, 50 people. And the same is in Afghanistan. And that's why he will not commit himself. He will not commit himself in Syria. Israel has to be aware of it. No matter the statements and so on, the fact remains they will not enter Syria, will not attack, they will not commit forces to topple Assad. And then, of course, there's what you call they're scared. Who knows comes after him? Look what's happening in Libya. There's all the analysts bring up this argument. There is the process is very strong. Islamization, radicalization, and they're scared. They're scared to go into it because there will be no exit. They're afraid there will be no exit. There's no question that President Obama's withdrawal will affect Israel. I don't know, I'm not a prophet, but the question is, the fact is that Israel has to really, as we said before, to rely on itself. I don't think that USA will come to the help of Israel, but only when it will be in trouble. In the beginning, what you call, to give them a hand to attack Iran, I don't think you can count on it. It's almost impossible. Knowing what you call the mood in USA, and you having the best, what you call, and the best fact, the facts are obvious. The Congress didn't want to, the Democrats didn't want, and many Republicans didn't want him to commit himself to Syria, to attack Syria. And United Nations, the same story. It will not pass. We have the veto of China and Russia. So it's a dilemma. And you have to think about solution if something happens. There was no question that it was a boost for Assad, was a boost for all the radical Islams. And I would say that they're setting the agenda. And they speak about the moderate Arabs. Sometimes it doesn't matter. There are many moderate Arabs. There was no question about it. But they don't set the agenda. The agenda, the political agenda, and the public agenda is set by the radicals. And you have it all over the Middle East, and Africa too, by the way. USA lost credibility with us. And we have to take into account people want to live the day. What you call, they want to live the day. Nobody is interested. You have to understand that USA has a long streak, a long history of isolationism. They didn't enter the First World War, didn't enter the Second War only after a long, long time. There is a strong, strong feeling, and a strong, segment of the American population say, who cares what's happening? Let them kill each other. So this is now, and especially now, after the financial crisis and so on, it will cost us even more, it will be more trouble, we don't want it. This is the reason why the Congress didn't decide. People are not they don't care the standing of USA in the world. Maybe there are some intellectuals and so on, but the average guy wants to live the day. What's called in Hebrew, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has to push his agenda, which means he has to explain the fact that Iran has one goal. The goal is to control the Middle East, maybe even more. Why? Because they want to put their agenda on top of the world, which means on top of the world, they wanted that everybody should be dancing according to their music. And that's what the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has to explain and push it as much as he can. All other things what Iran is doing and has to do with it. In the last 20, 30 years, from the day that Khomeini became the supreme leader of Iran, this is their goal. And that's why they're building the nuclear power. That's why they're armed to the tilt. They spent most of their money, they spent on on weapons. And that's why they're such a tremendous power. And not only this, why do you use the power? The military power is a mean to spread their ideology. They were supporting Al-Qaeda, and I'm not sure if the 9/11 wasn't sponsored by Iran. The Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has to say a very simple thing. You have to stop this radical Islamization, which is to some extent supported by the international left. They are radicals, and there's a two found a common language. This is the most important part. He has to explain the United Nations. He has to hammer it out. It has to be to explain the ideology of Iran. This is their goal. This is their target. This is their mantra. This is their credo.